My name is Ellen Dexter, along with Meg Rice, Sarah Damlow, and Jake Herman, and we hope to answer how Lincoln can reduce water utility by focusing on conservation practices. Our main focus for our project is on water utility, or the safe and timely distribution of water and related services, with an emphasis on reducing the water used by individuals as well as businesses and corporations. Water utility is tightly regulated by federal, state, and municipal jurisdiction and must be available to everyone. We propose the solution of water utility reduction. Water reduction can be implemented on large or small scales, which is why both the citizens and the businesses of Lincoln must be involved in our decision-making process. We must consider the regulations set in place by the Food and Drug Administration, the rulings of federal courts and legislation, as well as the outdated infrastructure already in place in Lincoln. Our goal corresponds to some of the Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations. These goals are good health and well-being, clean water and sanitation, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, sustainable cities and communities, and climate action. In order to stay healthy, people need access to clean water. By revamping Lincoln's old infrastructure, jobs will be created, allowing our economy to grow. This infrastructure will stay in place, keeping Lincoln sustainable. Finally, climate change influences water patterns greatly. Focusing on combating climate change will also help conserve water for the future. We had to assess environmental, economic, and societal sustainability considerations to determine our best solution. Water is a resource necessary for all things living, not just for humans or our development. We must consider the water cycle and its impact on the natural processes that occur in the hydrosphere and biosphere. Water is an integral part of all ecosystems needed to sustain life. If the water supply is damaged or affected in any way, it can seriously harm our ecosystem and the services they provide us. Finally, we must take our past into consideration. Droughts are a normal part of life in the Great Plains and for Nebraska. Many droughts are short-term and may only affect small areas, but multiple-year droughts like the Dust Bowl of the 1930s are relatively common as well. In 2012, Nebraska experienced its driest summer in more than 50 years. But in 2019, severe floods blocked Lincoln from its water supply. We must manage our resources so they are available in these times of crisis. We must also consider the economy. Implementing new water infrastructure will cost money, which will most likely come from taxes. Lincoln citizens must understand the importance of taxes they pay that go towards this project in order to reap benefits. Reducing water usage should lead to lower rates, but first, the new system must be put into place. Doing so will inevitably increase water rates throughout the country, with little prospect of those rates going down. Utilities, cities, counties, and states will continue to enforce high water rates even after infrastructure upgrades so they can properly maintain it while simultaneously planning for future investments that can accommodate urban expansion and a growing population. Businesses also have reasons to focus on sustainable practices. A positive public image incentivizes businesses to implement new methods of water conservation. Finally, we must consider the societal impacts of our project. 15% of Lincoln's population lives below the poverty line, so our solution must keep these people in mind. Whatever we determine to be the best option must include everyone, since water is necessary for life. Everyone must have access to clean water, and we must have enough to share. After all, everyone has a right to water. 2.1 billion people do not have access to safe drinking water, while 4.5 billion lack access to sanitation compatible with Sustainable Development Goal number 6. Poor water sanitation and hygiene leads to 675,000 premature deaths each year. The city of Lincoln can be an example of sustainable water practices. The issue of water utility reduction is a large one for the city of Lincoln and the state of Nebraska in general. We sit on the Ogallala, or High Plains Aquifer, the largest water reserve in the country. It underlies approximately 174,000 square miles of the Great Plains region, and 2/3 of the aquifer is contained under Nebraska. Lincoln is dependent on this groundwater, with wells located on the Platte River near Ashland. No other major city within the state of Nebraska has implemented a water conservation policy. The city of Lincoln, as our state's capital, can be a leading pioneer for all others to follow. Our proposed solution is a 3-part idea. First, we recommend educating the public on common water knowledge and how to conserve water. This would include public forums and events where water conservation is taught. One of the key aspects of education is educating the youth. Water conservation needs to be taught at a young age in schools and from their parents and guardians. Another part of our solution would be to implement water efficiency methods into homes and businesses. By using WaterSense products approved by the EPA, residential homes can save over 13,000 gallons. Finally, we looked at Wichita, Kansas as an example of a city with a water conservation plan that includes a rebate program. 3 of the major primary stakeholders are Lincoln residents, big corporations, and the agriculture industry. Residential homes are some of the biggest consumers of water, and people of the city might be asked to pay more taxes to fund water conservation projects. Big corporations would be difficult to convince to reduce water use since it limits business, but it would be very beneficial to gain their support since they cover a large portion of water use, and it would motivate other companies to follow. One avenue of approach to help combat this is the suggestion of rebates when using a certain EPA WaterSense stamped appliance. WaterSense products decrease water usage by up to 20% when compared to regular products. In 2013, the city of Wichita, Kansas implemented a rebate program of over 8 different water-efficient products, saving annually over $154,000 a year through 2018. Limiting water use in the agriculture industry might bring up concerns about drought or not having a sufficient amount of water to harvest the necessary crops to keep production moving. Our secondary stakeholders include Lincoln Public Schools and lawmakers/electoral candidates. Educating students and staff within LPS would increase awareness on water usage rates and methods to reduce consumption, which will raise concerns about the limited clean water supply and motivate them to practice sustainability in the schools and individually. Lawmakers would face economic challenges in creating laws and funding projects to reduce citywide water use. We expect that electoral candidates and current office holders will be more concerned with pleasing the people and maintaining their positions than with sustainability issues. So after reviewing our solutions to water utility reduction, we have decided that implementing educational opportunities into our community would be the best recommendation for Lincoln. Water conservation education focuses on what users can do to reduce water consumption and reduce the impact on water supplies. These programs focus on educating people on the importance of water conservation and implementing strategies for residents and businesses to reduce daily water use. One program we researched and found to be really effective was North Carolina's Save Water Education program. North Carolina is also a region that is prone to droughts and is at the risk of losing its water reserves, so we thought it was a good match with Nebraska. Its goal is to help North Carolinians learn to use water more effectively at work, at home, at school, and in their communities. They provide information for everyone and everything, from residentials to farmers to state governments. They not only give water-saving tips and resources, but they also can calculate how much water a family or business is using and what they can do to conserve more water. They have multiple case studies for businesses to look at and implement in their own businesses. North Carolina water conservation divisions partner with local districts and other conservation partners in many outreach efforts. Events attempt to increase awareness of natural resources and ecosystems while encouraging lifelong stewardship. This is achieved in several ways: a curriculum focusing on connections between food, land, and people, environmental science competitions, and contests. Adults are reached through Train the Trainer workshops, awards celebrations, public outreach events such as Earth Day and the North Carolina State Fair and District Field Days. Their water conservation program includes the preparation of materials and resources about both the need for and the practices that reduce water waste at home. The whole program is extremely detailed and informative and has shown to help North Carolinians save thousands in water and in money. We think it's super effective because all of the information is right there. They don't have to search or get confused looking for information. The educational programs implemented in their schools and community give people an opportunity to learn more about water conservation. We also chose this solution because of our environmental ethics. We believe that it is through our actions that affect the environment, and so it is through our actions that we should help the environment. Education is the first step, so by implementing educational opportunities into our communities, we can start to achieve our goals and conserve more water. People aren't going to do anything if they don't realize their actions have consequences. So it's up to people who do know to tell as many people as possible. It will have the biggest effect on our stakeholders, especially Lincoln residents. We also looked at it from the relevance to the common good approach. The common good approach refers to either what is shared and beneficial for all or most members of a given community, or alternatively, what is achieved by citizenship, collective action, and active participation in the realm of politics and public service. It best serves the community as a whole, not just some. Education needs to be shared by all members of the Lincoln community, and we think it is their right to know more about the most important element in their lives, water. In conclusion, it's up to us to make a difference. It's as much of Lincoln's residents' responsibilities as state officials to change things and conserve water. One of our major takeaways is that most of the biggest players in water utility redundancy is the residents of Lincoln themselves. A huge part of our solution comes from educating the public on the issue and how to become more sustainable. Also, we were really surprised when we found out that no other major city within the state of Nebraska has implemented water conservation programs. So, it's awesome for Lincoln to be the first. Thank you.